we're not teaching people to appreciate differences. And one of the difficulties I have, with our president is there's a lack of grace in some of his good ideas. Welcome to Entrepreneurs, the Playbook. I'm David Meltzer, and every once in a while in one of these 2,400 episodes that I've done, I get somebody again that I'm just super excited to hang out with. And it's close to 4th of July when we're filming this, and I feel like I'm having fun with a friend on different coasts, but this is someone who I share a frequency with, whether he was working with Trump or working with Bitcoin. It doesn't matter what the guy does. He is a fantastic, intelligent, positive person, and the world needs to know what makes him tick. That's why I created the playbook. Anthony Scaramucci, welcome to the playbook.
Well, first of all, I'm flattered to be asked to come on. I am a fan of yours, and I've downloaded your. You have a book about making decisions on the fly, and I'm trying to remember the name of it, but I think it's
Kind of
game
decision.
game
Yeah.
time decision making. And I downloaded the book. I think you wrote that book either in 2020 or 2019. And so I'm going to tell you the story so you know. I was in the airport and I saw the book and I was looking through the book and I'm like, all right, I don't really want to carry it. So I downloaded the book into my phone and then I got the Audible. And I thought it was a very thoughtful book about, the fluidity. But one of the things you say in the book, which I want to emphasize here, which I learned from you, is you're going to make mistakes in your decision making and don't get so uptight. Like, you should do OCD training for people, because sometimes I overthink stuff. And, I think the message of that book was, okay, you're at the line of scrimmage, you're going to fumble the ball, throw an interception, get back to the line of scrimmage, shut up.
I
That was
love
the message of the book. And so I remember the book. And when I heard that you were going to invite me on, I was very flattered.
Well, I'm very flattered that you came on and a fan of your podcast, Lost Boys Will Get Well with Scotty Galloway, which is awesome. But, speaking of books, my next book that's coming out Super Bowl with Simon Schuster is called Don't Do Business with Dicks. And you're a Harvard Law graduate. You have an eclectic background, someone who, like me, uses the skills, knowledge, and desires that they have and align it with different industries, careers, and jobs. And today, aligning it, especially as chairman of SALT and the managing partner of SkyBridge, with what's doing well today. And I was curious, in the aspect of my new book, Don't Do Business with Dicks.
So are you going to have like, how many chapters would you have on somebody like Trump then? You never met a bigger dick than him. So, I mean,
You're
that's it. I mean, you got to be, you're going to have like, we have like Encyclopedia Britannica on Trump. I mean, that's the problem though. But you got to have a chapter on how to do business with dicks. You're not supposed to, but what do you have a dick in your way or you got to deal with a dick or work around one, But,
It's so
but,
true. And
but
but
no, I was just gonna say, in addition to that, if you don't mind me adding this, how about also don't do business with dicks, but be nice to everybody? Because I'm telling you, that has helped me, David, in so many different ways. Because when you fall off a ladder or you slip two rungs on the ladder, there are people there to catch you. You know what I mean? They don't say, oh, this guy's an asshole. Let him fall down off the ladder and never get up again. Right?
it's such a beautiful sentiment. My mentor was Lee Steinberg, the famous sports agent, which I was blessed to be the CEO of that company. But when I lost everything, I lost over $100 million in 2008 by surrounding myself with the wrong people and the wrong ideas. I was a saying, wrong voices, wrong choices. And I was making a lot of the wrong choices at the time. But people ask me how I made the money back so quickly. And it was one thing, kindness. Despite I made some bad choices economically, despite I was behaving without paying attention to what was most important to me, my health and my family, especially, looking back, I was very kind to my future self because I had the same perspective you did. It's okay just to be a nice guy. And sometimes I'm going to take it in the shorts because I would rather be kind than right. I'd rather be kind than make money. And I think out of anything that I did to recover from losing over 100 million, it was I had a whole bunch of people that I was nice to that I could ask for help because I fell more than two rungs on the ladder. My basement had a basement and I had a long crawl out of that basement. For you, how has kindness played a role in everything that you've done, including today with SkyBridge and, with Salt?
Well, listen, I'm flattered that you said I really do try to be kind to everybody because I think, what are you going to do? You're going to be here for a minute, dead forever. Why not be nice to people? And I want to tell you this quick story because I think some of the people listening to your amazing show will benefit from it. I was such an insecure guy when I left Goldman. So I was 32 and I wrote down in my diary the day I pay off my school debt, David, I'm leaving Goldman. I'm going to start my own business. So I actually had the balls to do that. And so I paid off the school debt in May. I left Goldman in December of 1996, start my business. But I was so wildly insecure that I joined the Harvard Club. And so why did I join the Harvard Club? Because I went to Harvard. So I figured if Dave Meltzer's coming to have breakfast with me, I don't even have to fucking say I went to Harvard because, you're coming to the Harvard Club, right? That's how stupid I was, right? But I'm there, and there was a guy there, a beloved guy named Joaquin, and he waited on me every day. Okay. And, my grandmother was a maid. So I think this could be somebody's grandfather, grandmother. You got to be nice to the person. Nice, nice. A couple of years go by, and Joaquin comes over to me, Mr. Anthony. I said, yes, sir. He says, you're in money management, right? I said, yes, sir. He said, okay. He says, I need a favor. He says, I just came into $35 million. This is 2002, David. I said, you just came into $35 million? He said, yes. And this is the sad part of it. He said, my son was blinded in one eye in some kind of accident. And the settlement was $35 million for our family. And it's really in trust for him. And I need somebody to management. You've been so nice to me, okay, that I want to give you the money to manage for me. And I tell people this story because there I was, breakfast after breakfast, meeting with prospects, the Lee Steinbergs, the Dave Meltzers, and I'm carving up omelets, trying to convince them to do business with me. And the guy that's serving me is coming in with the $35 million check. Now, more piece to the story. I couldn't run that money, by the way. I gave that money to one of my buddies because the type of money, I'm in a sort of a single asset strategy, and he really needed a diversified wealth management plan. So
Right.
I didn't get the money. I gave it to one of my friends, but it created a good karma dynamic for both of them. Okay. The money is now $110 million for that family in the last 20 years. And it was out of a be nice. I mean, my message to people listening, be nice to people, especially the people that are serving you. Don't be indignant to them. They deserve your kindness, and it's worth it to you, and it will show your humanity and your character if you're nice to them.
Yeah, one of the aspects in hiring, I would always take someone out with me, whether it's to the grocery store or to dinner or lunch, just to see how they treated the people that they didn't need to treat nicely. And it was a prerequisite to be hired. Now, in the podcast that you have, The Lost Boys, obviously we're trying to guide our future generation. And there's a lot of different challenges that face young people today, especially young men. There's this huge energy gap that I see between knowing who I am and this is what I want people to think I am. And I think it's amplified obviously by this false facade of perfection on social media that I want everyone to think at 32 years old that I'm this amazing person, or at 25 years old. And we both know, being a little bit older now, there's no such thing, whether you're 20 or 30. And we have to learn that along the way. What are some of the things you think young men are facing today? I know you speak about it, that we can actually help with this energy gap that exists between this is what I want people to think I am, and this is who I am, and I love myself for who I am today.
To me, it's the central issue for younger people. My friend Scott Galloway knows these stats better than me, but the one that always jumps out at me, 18 to 30-year-old white males, they have a 30% higher incidence of suicide than other demographic groups. And what's happened in the culture, and it's totally understandable, we're trying to even things up. We're trying to make sure there's more diversity and equity and inclusion. And I am for that. I think it makes the country better. They get more intellectual capital out there, widen the bandwidth of talent. I'm all for that. But what I don't want to do is weaken one group. You know, as Scott would tell you, he's a professor at NYU. There are 75 advocacy groups at NYU. There's no white male advocacy group. There's no Meltzer, Scaramucci advocacy group, right? And there's a lot of people say, well, F you guys, you don't need that. You've had 5,000 year head start over the rest of us, and you certainly don't need that. And my response to that is, well, you say that I don't need that. And me personally, I don't need it. But someone 18 to 30 who is behind a screen, who is looking at a filtered world of their friends over the phone, while they're living an unfiltered world, they may need that. They may need the boost. They may need the self-confidence injection. They may need the self-esteem through helping them find purposeful jobs or meaningful relationships. And we're missing something here, you know. And I started Lost Boys with Scott and obviously Barbara, who's been a great producer, framing out these conversations because I want people to know that we're listening. I want people to know that they're being heard. I want them to know that there are voices out there that can provide advocacy, that can provide a self-confidence boost or some help. But the big thing, David, and I think you know this because we've been through our trials and tribulations in life, I want people to feel that if they're down, they can get non-judgmental help. Because what happens is if you're feeling bad or you have a low sense or pain or something like that, you want to do something to hurt yourself to end the pain. But the flip side is you'd be better off not doing that, getting to somebody to help you and to help you in a non-judgmental way, to help boost you and to, you know, seek some of the grace that you can experience in life. And so that was the purpose of the podcast. And that's, you know, to me, it's a labor of love. I think we I mean, for the wealthier people, I think we overly helicopter the kids. I think that's
Yeah,
its own problem, you know?
I agree. And
This is
face
why
that.
these kids are voting. You live in Orange County, man. That's still like a bastion of Republican. This is why
Oh,
these kids, were helicoptering the kids, we're giving them everything they want and need. They don't have to do anything for it. Then you wonder why they're voting for socialists, you know? I mean, of course they
yeah,
are.
right.
That's what we did to them.
It's crazy. It's interesting because I'm a big proponent of DEAI, which is, you know, equity of opportunity. But I think what's missing, aligned with what you're suggesting, is we're not teaching people to appreciate differences. And one of the difficulties I have, you know, with our president is there's a lack of grace in some of his good ideas. He ruins it for me by, like you said, being a dick is one, but not being appreciative of differences. And when we can say, look, none of us are the same. I have 4 kids. None of them are equal. They're all different, but I want to be able to have equal opportunity for them. But I want them to appreciate the differences between my children the same way I want kids to appreciate these differences, but have equity of opportunity, regardless of whether you are a young, white, black, yellow, purple, green person. It doesn't matter. It's this lack of appreciation that the difference is what makes America great. That's what makes America great. The fact that you could be born on the streets right now and have nothing. And if you have the desire, you literally have an opportunity in America to be the best at whatever you want to be. Still today, might be a little bit more challenging, but still today, anybody in the world, in our world, can do that. And I love that. Now, want to move just quickly to an event that I'm going to be attending in Wyoming, your SALT conference in August 18th to 21st, I think, if I remember the dates correctly. I'll double check them. But you're bringing
So those
together
are the correct dates, 18th to the 21st.
perfect. You're bringing together the who's who in blockchain and digital innovation. I don't think people. I grew up in Westlaw. You know, I'm sure you remember from Harvard. I was an oil and gas litigator who decided there was more money in the internet made a wise choice. Even though Justice Scalia told me, you'll love this, Anthony. Justice Scalia told me, he said, David, nobody ever will do research on a computer. You need books. You're making a really bad decision. And thank goodness, he later on in his life, when I talked to him, he said, you don't tell people that story. Now, obviously, he's passed away. I still tell the story. So you can
Love
imagine
it.
how many millions of people
Love
I've
it.
told this story. But I feel blockchain is the same exact thing as the internet was in 1992. People don't get like the power of blockchain and the opportunity that exists. You're putting investors, entrepreneurs, policymakers, all these different people in a complete ecosystem. What is the takeaway for those people who are going to attend? What can we get out of the Wyoming Blockchain Symposium?
Well, I've been doing these conferences now. This is my 16th year doing conferences, and I always tell people three things. Number one, I want you to meet people that will help you in your business. Number two, I want you to learn something. So hopefully the editorial content is such where you go and like, wow, I didn't know that. I'm glad I went. I have more insight into what's going on in the industry. And then the third thing, which to me is like the most important thing, is I want people to have fun. So I sent my advanced team to Jackson Hole and I said, pick out some cool bars. Let's get a country music singer. Let's make some signature drinks. Let's get people up on the gondola to the top of the mountain. Let's have an event up there. Let's make sure people see the town and make sure people see a ranch. And because I think that's where we really killed it last year. I'm probably sound like I'm patting myself on the back. I don't mean to be. It's really accolades for my staff. They put a hell of an event together last year, and people were like calling me as early as January, like, okay, what are we doing? Where are we going? I'm got to get this in my calendar. Now, we put it there because of the Fed meetings. So my attitude was the Fed has an annual central bank meetings, Jerome Powell, et cetera. So our thing starts right before theirs. So they're the central bank meeting, we're the decentral bank meeting. And
Nice.
last year, the Biden administration doesn't really like crypto. I invited several Fed people. They said no. This year, the Trump administration does like crypto. I invited certain Fed people. They said yes. So we're getting a little bit of that mixing going. Senator Loomis will be there. Tim Scott will be there. Uh, Tom Emmer, who's in
Very
the
nice.
House. So we got a good thing going. I'm excited about it, and I'm thrilled that you're coming.
Yeah, I love it. My mission in life is to help people make a lot of money so they can help a lot of people and have a lot of fun. And when you're staying at the Four Seasons Jackson Hole in Wyoming, that time of year with the right people and the right ideas, we have the right voices to make the right choices. I think it's a great place if you are aligned with my mission and Anthony Scaramucci's mission of making a lot of money, being abundant by helping a lot of people and having a lot of fun. It's the place to be. Listen in on the podcast. Check out everything else that SkyBridge is doing as well. This has been the Playbook of Success. Entrepreneurs, the Playbook, with one of my favorite influencers, which I love calling a guy like Anthony Scaramucci an influencer, but he is truly influencing a lot of people in the right way. Anthony Scaramucci, thank you for joining me on the Playbook.